What is up? It's your boy Johnny SHREVE, IFBB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to the episode of Straight Talk with SHREVE. Today, guys, we're going to talk about the latest news. Iain Valliere has retired from competitive bodybuilding. He is hanging up his IFBB Pro competitive life. He's hanging up the trunks. It's a great video. Head on over to this channel if you want to actually see the full video. I'm going to break it down and talk about this because I have so recently retired from competing as well. And there's a lot of things that I share very common with Iain. And it might shed a little light on, to you guys who are maybe thinking about bodybuilding. So let's just get into it, break this thing down.
All right. What is up? I guess YouTube people, I don't know, whoever I'm talking to here. We have a very special, exciting for me. I mean, this is a whole new adventure, a whole new world here. But we're here to announce my departure from the stage of competitive bodybuilding. So yeah, I don't even know where I start with this. This wasn't a decision that came quickly. This is something that's been on the back of my mind for, well over a year. And I think over the last few months, kind of started to creep into my mind as more of a reality. It really became apparent to me when I was still winning shows and it really wasn't making me excited anymore. And the idea of competing at this year's Olympia really didn't make me excited anymore. I remember how I felt, my first 2-3 Olympias, and I was so excited to get there, so excited to compete, and so excited.
I gotta stop him right there. That's a good reason to not want to compete anymore. I saw a couple channels that are not that legit that were speculating before even watching his video as to why he stopped competing. And you can definitely say, look, man, I've known Iain when he was an amateur. I was lucky enough, blessed enough. At the time, I remember Greg was coaching him, already going down to the show, and he needed a little help with posing. And I met Iain and Chris Bumstead back in the day, helping with some posing and whatnot. I'm not trying to take any credit like that at all, but basically he won his show after that, won next show, all of a sudden he's pro. I would say right now, stat-wise, he is Canada's best professional bodybuilder. Or I would say, he's up there. 100%. There's a lot of great bodybuilders from Canada, but in terms of shows won, competitions, Olympia showings and placings, Iain Valliere will go down as one of, or if not, Canada's best bodybuilder. And he had an amazing career. I've been able to watch in real time, which is great, which is cool. And a lot of us have been able to. And we saw him go climb the ranks and become the bodybuilder that he is. And to retire right now, where he arguably could have, started prep and probably placed even better this year, he's pulling out and retiring at a point of his career where he is good. He's not on the decline. When you stop competing or stop the sport you love when you're at the top, and he is at the top of his career, and it solidifies what I say, that definitely confirms that this isn't some over-the-night thought process. This is something that he's thought about for a long time, much like myself. And it took me a bit. I think every bodybuilder at some point in their career, they start looking in the future. And the future looks way more important to them, more so than the immediate present in terms of what they're doing with competing. So for him to retire where he's at, it says a lot. Because most people could say,
man, he's got 2-3 more years. He could probably, there's still bodybuilders competing when they're 40. I'm 40.
He could compete for another 7 years, right? So it's something to think about. Let's keep going.
And that wasn't something that really felt like a goal that was in my mind of something that really made me excited.
And I add to that too. You got to understand, you have to know when enough is enough. Even when you're at the top, even when you're, you might be winning in whatever situation you're in. But knowing that, acknowledging the fact that this thing that I've been doing for X amount of years is no longer bringing me joy or happiness or even peace. It's more so it's bringing me maybe negative emotions. If I can't get up and excited to go to the Olympia, what's the point of competing? If I can't get excited to do another show and knowing that I'll probably win or I'll be one of the names talked about winning and you're done, knowing when enough is one of the things you need to take away from his retirement.
It was just getting harder and harder in my mind to justify, if that's the right word, what I was doing, and when you're younger, when you're 20, 25, even getting up to 30, mortality and living a long life doesn't really seem like something it seems so far away still, And as I start to get older, into my 30s, and Melissa and I are at the phase where we want to have kids, the thought of the risks that I was putting myself in, when you're also pairing that with maybe a lack of desire and passion for actually competing, it started to really weigh heavy on me. And this isn't to say look, when I got into bodybuilding because I love training. I still love training. I still love going to the gym. I'm never going to stop going to the gym and training hard and, having fitness goals and different things that I want to pursue as, a fitness venture. But that phase of my life of being, 280 pounds plus 99% of the year.
So there you have it, guys. That is going to be one of the main reasons why we retire from this sport. So I think this is more so a message for all you aspiring bodybuilders out there who are like, I want to be a bodybuilder. And it's good that we're very open and honest and transparent about our walk in life in terms of, you know, our journey with and bodybuilding as a professional. It's always there. When you start competing, there is that chemical aspect of it. There is that point where you're a certain weight, you don't feel as good. You acknowledge that. You know that. There was a time I was 270 pounds, 5'8", you know, competing on stage at 234. And for me, perspective, my point of view, holding 265, 70 pounds, it wasn't comfortable. That obvious thing in the back head of, you know, I'm using toxic drugs to help me get to where I'm at. And we know that those things are not safe. And this basically what happened to me. Here's where you want to be in terms of like when you retire. You want to get out of this sport before complications start happening. Because if you're still competing and complications are happening already, it might be too late at that point. So for the most part, it's when athletes or bodybuilders retire, number one, because they are no longer healthy enough to continue to do it, or they've reached a point in their life where they're acknowledging that if they continue this way, it's going to be their demise. And he said it right there. I'm thinking about me and Melissa want to have family. Of course, 100%. You want a family, you want kids. You can't necessarily do that. You know, when we were planning on having Selena, I had to come off, I won my pro card, came off everything. I did my PCT, had to go to a endocrinologist, had to do all these tests, everything to see where I was, my testosterone was, my available test, my sperm, whatever, all those things I do before even attempting. And this sport, it interrupts that immensely. So he says a very important thing is, not only am I not really necessarily enjoying this anymore, but I'm also in a place where it's not healthy. So it doesn't justify, like taking these drugs does not justify this anymore if I'm not happy doing it. You know what I mean? And we all, like, most of us all did get into the sport because we like training. I love training. I got into the sport because I wanted to continue my pursuit of being a professional athlete because it didn't work out for me as a football player. This sport filled that void, and here I am now. But there was a point in my career, which was basically like the last time I tried to compete, which is a couple years ago. And you guys follow my journey in there. My goal was, I'm going to try to do this as healthy as you can. So at this time, 2 years ago, I'm going to do the most minimal amounts of everything. And that's going to be the healthiest way to do it. And there just isn't really a healthy way to do it. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. You know, I've heard the comments from, you know, Bob Chicken, the Masters Olympia. He's like, man, if he would have been a couple more pounds, you know, leaner, he probably could have won the show. Little do you know, I wasn't doing anything. Like, I know there'll be some in the comment section be like, yeah, but you're, no, it wasn't doing anything. I'm not gonna keep, whatever. Either way, I did this thing gear-free completely. But there's a part of the sport that is, no matter what, enhanced or not, getting down to a body fat percentage is not healthy. Taking diuretics is not healthy. You can do a show completely gear-free, anabolic-free, drug-free, diet down to too low body fat percentage, and then couple that with a diuretic or some type of water drying out manipulation, and then severely hurt yourself or possibly die. For me, it was a choice. My goal on stage, I wanted to retire like so. I said it before inside the videos. I want to do my best to bring a competitive package that will put me at least top 5 to win, wherever the judges put me in that. If they decided that my look was what they were going for, cool. If they decided my look was numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. I wanted top 5, but I wanted my physique to be competitive. And I wanted to do my routine. That's what I wanted. And I got it. But it was my choice to not get that much leaner. I was doing an hour and a half of cardio. I was eating 2,100 calories. I could have 100% done. I could have suffered for another 3 weeks, did 2,100 calories, and kept my cardio at 130, an hour and a half, and I would have got that much leaner. But there's the other part of my life that I had to continue to be great at doing, which is I gotta still put out content. I gotta still be a father. I gotta still be on set, memorize lines, and do all these things that if I decide that I'm gonna shave off another 3%, that can affect me in a way where, again, when I competed last, I wasn't affected by the anabolics or the drug use. It was because my body fat percentage was so low that when I caught a virus, my body couldn't fight it, and it literally did me in. So when it comes down to it, there is no real way to do this thing as healthy as you can. So you're going to come to a crossroad of your life as a competitor that you're going to have to decide, how much more am I going to risk my life to achieve a certain placing? All of the things, and I strongly suggest you guys go watch this video because it's a great video. You know, he goes over a lot of things in this video in terms of like how long his career's been. This isn't something he just decided, yesterday, I don't want to compete anymore. This is something that's been at his heart for over a year. That means while he was prepping for the shows last year and at the Olympia, he was already thinking it, much like we're getting somewhat the same message from Chris, his brother-in-law. I would guarantee that they have these conversations conversations. Chris and Iain 100% have the conversations. When I met Iain, I met Chris. They've been side by side for their entire career together. And they're probably having these conversations. Chris wants a kid probably. If you have siblings, you probably want to have kids. They're probably talking about this stuff and they're at both the height of their career. And they're thinking about, I want to, like, is it worth, is the Olympia, is the placings, is the prize money, are all these things worth those years of my life that I really want? Because you're not thinking about it right now, guys. You're not. A lot of you guys aren't. A lot of you guys aren't thinking about anything but, I want to get a pro card, I'll do some shows, I get Insta famous, whatever, right? I'm not, sorry, if that's not your actual reason, my bad. But for the most part, people are getting into sport because people like Iain, people like Chris, they aspire to be those people, which is completely fine. But we have to understand that bodybuilding is only this, is going to be this little part of your life. And what you do within that part of your life, that career, that journey, will 100% affect how long you will live the rest of your life. So I can relate to this video so much because it's like when I see this happen, I'm like, yo, good for you, Iain. Like, yo, awesome. Knowing when enough is enough takes balls. Like, you gotta be honest with yourself and have enough self-control and self-discipline to be like, look, bodybuilding isn't who we are, it's what we do. You know, and I think it's one of the things that it's hard for people to understand as well, is to separate themselves from the sport. People identify themselves as a pro. I said this in the last video. I made it very, very clear and important for me that when I became a professional bodybuilder, I put JONNI SHREVE IFBB Pro. I wasn't going to put IFBB Pro in front of my name. Being a professional bodybuilder or being a competitive bodybuilder is something that I do. It's not who I am. So that's what made it, I would guess, easier for me to step away. Because I've heard it already. I've had some great names and some, you know, big name people at the Olympia, at the Masters say, you got more in you. You can definitely do whatever. And I know myself, I have more in me. Of course I do. Of course I can do more. Of course I can do more shows and diet harder and put on an even better performance. I know that's possible, but I have other things in my life that I want to achieve because I'm not just a bodybuilder. That's one of the things that I do. There are so many other things that I do that I want to continue to do as long as I possibly can. And unfortunately, bodybuilding isn't one of those things I can do for the rest of my life. Competitive body, but training, you know, working out, building muscle, being able to manipulate my body the way I see fit. If I need to shed off a couple pounds because I want to maybe do a photo shoot, or maybe I'm gonna do another ebook and I need pictures done or some content, whatever, or you know, I want to go and, or maybe there's a role that I get that requires my body to be a certain, you know, look. I have that knowledge and that power to be able to do that I've been able to practice on a yearly basis when it comes to bodybuilding. But competing, just can't anymore, right? Again, there's that crossroad. The same thing I can relate with Iain is how excited I am. It's pretty crazy that, like, most people, when they retire, they get sad and they, you know, maybe cry. I don't know. For me, it was a relief. I was like, all right, cool. Now I can just focus on this stuff now. And trust me, I love the process. I love the challenge. If you don't love the process, love the challenge, you just don't bodybuild, period. People who do this, a little awful, a little bit. They like that challenge. They like a little bit of that risk. I am an adrenaline junkie, 100% I am. Tell you that and be honest with that for sure. When it comes to this sport, I love the challenge. Because bodybuilding for me, when it comes to, like, you know, prep, is like climbing a mountain. It is. And when you get to the top of that mountain, you finally get there, you feel so empowered because there's so many things on the way to that peak that may have stopped you at some point. There's the doubts, the self-doubts, there's the life's curveballs. There's just like all the things that could have stopped you, you know, that you made a decision to continue to go and you reached that pinnacle. For me, the Masters Olympia was a storybook ending for me. The perfect setting for me. If it wasn't for that show, if it wasn't for how it was ran, where it was at, the people involved, the competitors competing, I would have maybe had a scratch in the back of my throat, a little itch that I wanted to, you know, continue to, you know, scratch. But it gave me the ending, the storybook ending that I was looking for, which made it so easy for me to be like, I'm done. I thank you, bodybuilding, for, you know, letting me express myself and be transparent and tell my story and all those things. Thank you, but competitive bodybuilding, I'm done. And that's where Iain is. And that's where all of you will be at one point. You just have to understand knowing when to say enough is enough. Because if you wait too long, and that's in any situation, not just bodybuilding, if you wait too long and if you're getting all the signs in the world, like Iain was getting signs for over a year, thoughts about not competing. And he finally came to that place where I'm not going to compete. And he made the decision, literally, they're in prep for the Olympia. Right now, he could be finishing his prep for the Olympia and he's deciding, I don't want to do this anymore. In another universe, there's an Iain that's ignoring those, and, you know, that internal dialogue, the conversations with his brother-in-law and his wife. And maybe he ignores those and he says, I'm going to do it anyway. And then all of a sudden in that universe, something bad happens to Iain. You got to think that way, guys. I'm not saying don't be paranoid, but understand that if you're starting to think about things, you're getting that gut feeling that whatever situation you're right now, you're getting to the point where enough is enough. Like, it's ran its course. It's starting to show the signs that I should back away. You have to have the courage and the self-discipline to say enough is enough. And in that decision, the results from that is even more growth. I can't wait, along with a lot of other people, to see what Iain's gonna do next. Because everyone's gonna wonder what all these guys do next. What do they do next? They graced the stage, they entertained us with great muscle and conditioning. Iain brought consistently ton of muscle and great conditioning. That presence will be missed on stage. So for the people who are following him or fans like myself, we're like, what's next? I can't wait. I want to see what's next. And that's the approach, and that's what you have to think to yourself as well too. That making that decision as to knowing when enough is enough, that next stage is going to be maybe just as rewarding or even more than the previous. Anyway guys, thought I'd cover that video. More to come. If you want me to do more videos just like this or any topics, let me know in the comment section below. Also guys, grab my ebook right now. The Final Diet is in a link in the description below. And guys, till next time, binge watch my videos. You guys know what it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.